The news day continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Analysts say inflation may have eased further in the month of March. A Business World poll of 16 analysts yielded a median estimate of 8.1% for March inflation. That's near the upper end of 7.4 to 8.2% forecast by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. It is lower than the 8.6% in February but much faster than the 4% print in March 2022. The Philippine Statistics Authority will release the latest data on Consumer Price Index on Wednesday, April 5th. Saudi Arabia and other OPEC Plus producers have announced surprise cuts in their oil production by over 1 million barrels per day. Saudi Arabia and Russia announced they will each cut their output by 500,000 barrels per day starting May until the end of 2023. Iraq, the UAE, Kuwait, Algeria, and Oman have also announced they would slash their production with voluntary cuts ranging from 40,000 to over 200,000 barrels per day. The cuts follow a drop in oil prices triggered by jitters in the banking sector after the collapse of SVB and the hurried buyout of Credit Suisse. The Saudi Energy Ministry said the cuts were a precautionary measure aimed at supporting the stability of the oil market. Oil has surged in the equity space across Asia after the OPEC Plus announced a surprise production cut of more than 1 million barrels a day. Sue Keenan gives us a lowdown on this Bloomberg TV report.
Markets, analysts, traders, even the White House caught off guard.
Yeah, well, that's because OPEC Plus had pledged repeatedly to hold output steady, and as recently as Friday, delegates had indicated privately that, there would be no change. And so this announcement on Sunday, unprecedented in that it comes before tomorrow's monitoring committee meeting, really knocked a lot of people back on their feet. It's a 1 million barrel a day production cut to take effect in May. The Saudis led the cartel with their own 500,000 barrel a day supply reduction, but members including Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, and also Russia are contributing to it. Now, if we take a look at the price charts, as Sherry said, WTI had closed above the $75.50 mark on Friday. It had been on an upswing, but as soon as the Asian trading opened, it shot up some 8%, an indication of the surprise move here and the upward trend this now puts oil in. In the wake of all the bank turmoil, we saw oil prices swoon to a 15-month low. Of course, as stocks in the market has come back from the bank concerns, we've seen oil on the rebound. But nevertheless, this is really a shot in the arm to price action. And there are analysts that say OPEC Plus clearly wants a higher oil price. One veteran analyst said the group is following through on being proactive and ahead of the curve, and it's trying to rip oil prices from the grip of macro sentiment, which is about demand being flat, and that's maybe going to keep prices lower. Well, they just pushed everything into high gear here.
Yeah, we've seen the political reaction so far.
Yeah, the White House out, as Sherry mentioned, saying that this was ill-advised. Of course, the thinking on many analysts and market watchers is that tensions between the Saudis and the Biden administration, which were already very uneasy, are really probably going to ratchet up higher here. The White House believing this is ill-advised given the uncertainty of the market. There's real concern by the Biden administration on inflation, and this feeds right into that. The White House also said the new cuts will cause the Biden administration to continue to work with oil producers and consumers with a focus on gas prices. You should note the initial impact of the cuts, which start next month, will add up to just over 1.1 million barrels a day. And from July on, due to the extension of the Russian existing supply reduction, there would be about 1.6 million barrels a day less crude on the market than many had been expecting. So this is a real event that traders, analysts, and others will be reacting to in the days to come.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The World Bank has downgraded its growth forecast for the Philippines as inflation weighs on consumption. Sue Keenan gives us the lowdown on this Bloomberg TV report. Loans disbursed by big banks in the Philippines slowed further in February. Outstanding loans grew by 10% to 10.69 trillion pesos from 9.72 trillion pesos a year earlier. However, it is weaker than the 10.4% growth in January and the slowest credit growth in 11 months. This is shown in the latest banking sector outlook survey of the Bangko Sentral. Respondents include presidents, CEOs, and country managers of all universal and commercial banks. Economists said slower lending growth may be due to the rising interest rates and higher inflation. Still, Philippine banks expect double-digit growth in assets, loans, deposits, and net income in the next 2 years. A unit of Metro Pacific Tollway says the Cavite-Laguna Expressway or CALAX may be fully completed in 2024 if right-of-way issues are resolved. Metro Pacific Unit MP Kala Holdings says the Cavite portion of the CALAX project now has a right-of-way acquisition rate of under 70%. The firm says it is the funding for the right-of-way is still being discussed with the government, but the company assures that there has been a commitment to full fund the entire requirement. Popular Holy Week tourist destination Puerto Galera remains free from oil spill. Local officials and residents took a swim at the town's white beach to prove that it's safe. Resorts saw a number of cancellations following reports that oil has already reached Puerto Galera.
Noon pong may lumabas na mabalita, ay meron pong mga nag-cancel. Yung mga tricycle driver dito sa amin, yung mga boatman, yan po ay nangutang para lang sila ay magkaroon ng permit. Dahil umaasa sila na pagdating po ng Holy Week ay kikita sila.
The local government has warned against those who spread false information on social media. All coastal barangays in Oriental Mindoro, except those in Puerto Galera, are now under a state of calamity.
Mag-ingat ho tayo sa mga fake news na inilalabas dito ho sa ating mga social media kasi mananagot po kayo sa bayang ito.
Bagging operations for sunken MT Princess Empress in Oriental Mindoro are now underway. Coast Guard Deputy Commandant Rolando Punzalan Jr. said initial operations were successful over the weekend. Punzalan also reported that from 23 sources of oil leakage, only 11 were spotted by PCG personnel. The specialized bags were provided by the government of the United Kingdom, and more are expected to arrive today. The method is part of PCG's oil spill management operations, which include bagging, sealing, and patching of leaks.
Meron pa pong ibang mga pamamaraan na ating tinitingnan kung kaya't yung ating mga kasama sa US Coast Guard at US Navy ay titingnan din at susuriin kung yung kanilang mga kapabilidad ay magagamit natin.
The MMDA calls on the public to support the first ever Summer Metro Manila Film Festival. This as the agency aims to establish a new tradition for the local film scene by replicating the film festival, which would have local cinemas exclusively screening Filipino film entries. The MMDA says it has no expectations when it comes to gross sales, as it would be the first time the film festival would be held during the dry season. The MMDA also establishes the difference between the summer MMFF from the film festival that's usually held during the holiday season.
Ibang approach natin dito sa Summer Metro Manila Film Festival, kung mapapansin natin, walang masyadong pangbata dito sa ating 8 kalahok. Kung hindi, mas tinarget po natin yung mga Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, at yung medyo mga bata. Dahil alam naman natin na yung pampasko, yun yung pampamilya, ito ay more on sa mas mga younger na mga Filipinos.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.